I think we need to start thinking of our community more holistically than we have. So you're right, there's way less money today than there was a year ago or 2 years ago. Is that going to change? Maybe yes, maybe no. So let's assume that it doesn't change. There is less money. People are thinking harder about the money they give. And I think you have to look at it the same way I would look at a capital expense in our business. So, we have 150 some odd offices in however many countries around the world. And people have capital requirements. They need capital for investment. They need to improve. You got to look at it. There's not enough for everybody. You look at it and you make a list of priorities. And you go down the priorities. You look at your strategic plan. What fits that strategic plan the best? How do you make it work? That's what we need to do. So today, in a day, I get 3 to 5 emails from people looking for money. And they're all good. I'm sure they're all good. So, Israeli soldiers in a particular unit don't have enough boots or long underwear. There's a great charity in Israel that gives social services to disabled children that needs help, and you got to do something for them. You've got a yeshiva in wherever that has scholarship help, and you're having terrible problems because a lot of parents are out of work in this economy, sadly, and got to help them. So what are you going to do? You've got your synagogue. You've got your kids. You have all these different things. How do you make that decision? So, I saw one group that had very, very, very tight connections to the hedge fund community as an Israeli charity, and they were doing great, and they had wonderful services, and they were doing real well. When they didn't have any money, they did great. When they had money, they expanded. Did they give better services? I don't think they gave better. I think they gave great services before because they're very focused, amazing people. They were able to give more services. They expanded their facilities, got nicer, great. And then they got to a point where the money looked like it was just going off of trees. They said, wow, this is great. So they built, $25 million hole in the ground. Now, that's a great thing, and it was done with all the right reasons. But who said that that was the single most important thing the Jewish community needed to do? I don't know. Maybe it was, and if so, they should get the money. But maybe it's not. So there have been cities in America where the federations and others have come together to bring their capital programs together, right? So that you had capital, and people looked at capital in a holistic way. So if you had 4 or 5 or 6 different, take yeshivot, take Hebrew day schools, and they were all going through capital need. Well, you knew there was one that probably had more of the affluent children going to it, was probably going to get more. And you probably had one, we had the least affluent going, which had the biggest need. Now, in this one community I'm thinking of, as it turns out, the most affluent was sort of the community day school, Orthodox in concept, but much more egalitarian. The school with the biggest need was the most religious, observant, more right-wing school, and it was also the smallest school. Now, they had the smallest ability to get money in a capital campaign, but guess what happened? When the community came together and looked at it holistically, their needs surfaced in a way that it never would have surfaced if I let each school do their own thing. And so they got more money out of this than they ever would have gotten before. Whereas the wealthier school, which had all the money, when the community looked and said, you know what, it would be real great to gold plate the door handles, but not this year, guys. It's not the key. Now I'm being a little facetious, but that's exactly what happened, though. And so that school, so I use that example because I found it, to me, instructive that in an environment which wasn't Orthodox, the Orthodox school, the most Orthodox school, ended up with getting a higher percentage of funds than they ever would have gotten before because somebody looked at it holistically. We need to start looking at our needs holistically, or we will not flourish.